So, have you ever thought about this? What if the next pandemic wasn't some random thing from nature, but was actually created in a lab? It's a pretty heavy question, right? Well, that's exactly what's at the heart of Executive Order 14292, a presidential directive that is seriously shaking up the world of biological research. Let's get into it and break down what this all means.
Okay, so right off the bat, the order pulls no punches. I mean, look at that language. It makes it crystal clear that this isn't just some standard government memo. This is basically a national warning that some types of scientific research could, potentially, become a weapon. And framing it that way, that's a total game changer. So why the alarm bells? What is the big deal here? Well, the order lays out the dangers in really stark, no-nonsense terms. And this right here is a crucial shift in thinking. This order literally takes the conversation about this research out of the quiet halls of a laboratory and puts it right into the situation room. It's not being talked about as just a scientific debate anymore. It's now officially defined as a national security issue. The order paints a really grim picture of what could happen. I mean, we're not just talking about a bad virus here. We're talking about the potential for a complete societal breakdown. The real concern is that cascading effect where the healthcare system fails, then the economy, and so on. That's why the stakes are seen as being so incredibly high. And, the order doesn't shy away from pointing fingers either. It directly calls out the previous administration for what it describes as insufficient oversight. Using language like that sends a very clear political message that a new, much more hardline approach is now being taken. All right, so after laying out the problem in such serious terms, what's the plan? What's the solution? The order moves into a really clear three-part strategy to get this type of research under control. You can really boil the entire strategy down to these three simple actions: stop, secure, and enforce. First, you hit the brakes on any current high-risk projects. Second, you build a much better, safer road for any future research to travel on. And third, you make absolutely sure that everyone stays on that road. So, the very first order of business is to turn off the money tap. Simple as that. The order immediately cuts federal funding for this kind of research in places where the U.S. can't be 100% sure its own safety standards are being followed. And it specifically calls out countries of concern. And they are not messing around when it comes to timing. The order sets some really tight deadlines for creating these new safety rules. We're talking about giving key government advisors just a few months to completely overhaul the entire system from the ground up. That's fast. But let's pause for a second. What kind of science are we actually talking about here? That term gain of function gets thrown around a lot, and it can be pretty confusing. So the order gives a very specific definition to make it clear exactly what it's targeting. Okay, so at its core, it's about any research that deliberately makes a pathogen either more harmful or easier to spread. It's that simple combination, making it more dangerous and more contagious, that triggers all the rules in this order. And this list, wow, it makes that abstract definition incredibly concrete. It covers a whole range of things, from making a virus resistant to our best medicines, to helping it make the jump from animals to humans, all the way to something that sounds like it's straight out of a movie, bringing an extinct pathogen like smallpox back to life. Now, you can have all the new policies in the world, but they're only as strong as their enforcement, right? To make sure these new rules actually have teeth, the order introduces some really strict, non-negotiable penalties for any institution that gets federal money. And the consequences for breaking these new rules are severe. This is not just a slap on the wrist. If an institution is found to be in violation, they face an immediate stop to all of their current federal funding, plus a ban from getting any more for up to 5 years. And this is huge. The order's reach extends way beyond U.S. borders. From now on, American institutions are on the hook for the research they fund anywhere on the planet. It's a really bold move that's basically trying to create a new global standard for biosafety, all enforced by U.S. funding. So, when you step back and you look at all these different pieces, the funding cuts, the new safety rules, the harsh penalties, what's the ultimate goal here? What's the big picture? So this isn't about just shutting down science. The stated goal is really to find that sweet spot, that perfect balance between safety and innovation. The policy is trying to prevent the next global catastrophe without accidentally stifling the very research that we might need to fight it. And a really key part of that strategy is transparency. The order calls for a brand new, publicly available database of all the research that falls under its new definition. The whole idea is to bring these kinds of experiments, which were often conducted behind closed doors, out into the public view. All of this really leaves us with that one fundamental question, doesn't it? How do we keep pushing the boundaries of science and innovation while also making sure we're protected from the potential risks? This order offers one possible answer, but it's a debate that sits right at the heart of modern science and national security, and it's definitely far from over.